It finally happened. Assaulted at work. I work in the disability sector. My company has a problematic client who commonly escalates and assaults his male support workers, on occasion with a weapon. The company's response when this happens is more or less, "That's terrible. You're right to keep working with him though. Right? He normally loves you. Please don't let this affect your relationship." For various reasons that basically boil down to, it's a decent paying job and no one wants to risk unemployment. Most staff continue to work with him. For 6 months. Although we've had some escalated incidents, we've generally worked pretty well together and he happily tells everyone I'm one of his favorites. Tonight it finally happened. Though, I made a comment that he misinterpreted and his response was to hit me in the back of the head. I'm angry at myself and upset with the client and dreading the fallout tomorrow when I tell the company I'm not working with this client again. Thanks for letting me vent. Don't let them bully you into continuing working with someone so aggressive. You got this. There was this guy who bragged about not being arrested because he was disabled when he attacked his workers, but when he started to attack me, I pressed charges. I wasn't a wuss and I didn't care if he had to spend a few nights in jail to learn his lesson. They transferred him to a higher level of custody which he needed but didn't get up until then. The moral of the story? Stand up for yourself. I can speak as someone who has experience being on both ends of the stick. Client of disability services and experience in managing abusive customers. A person who is physically assaultive needs to be dealt with in a firm and assertive manner. In saying that, this is a responsibility of management and you are certainly in no need to tolerate this sort of behavior. Continuing to work with this customer may potentially expose a work health and safety liability for the company. Take care. I'm sorry this happened, Op. Do not give in. If you get pressured, stand firm. I worked in a similar field and was sexually assaulted by a client and told it was part of the job. You should leave. It will never improve. Well, if they fire you for complaining about being assaulted, you can probably sue for unfair dismissal or unsafe working environment, as they were already aware of the problem. My workplaces like this don't care if you're being beat on by a client. Got to the point where I point blank refuse to work with that one client. Now my safety comes first. I shouldn't tolerate being abused by a client and being paid minimum wage for the job. I work with elderly. Few, particularly the dementia care residents, get physical. You don't deal with it. You should help de-escalate where possible, but if a client is often physical like this, they should be getting specialist carers that are trained and paid to deal with it. File charges with the pigs for being assaulted. If any of that is caught on video, press charges. Are incident reports not being made every time he attacks someone? Not making incident reports will have OIG on the company's doorstep. Please protect yourself by filling out the proper paperwork. I was once beaten up by a client in a wheelchair with a fire extinguisher. Lovely concussion ensued. Another time a client had my hair in a death grip. It took 12 minutes for other colleagues to get them to release me. I had a terrible headache for 3 days. Another time, I had to get a client off another client who had bit the earlobe off of the other client. All these incidents were written up. It's absolute policy that needs to be followed under OIG guidelines. I'm actually in the sector as well, and I've worked with very aggressive kids with behavioral issues. One of them was already a teenager and bigger than me. One of the things they tried to do was push me down the stairs. My supervisor's response was just, "Never walk in front of her." Geez, sure, let me just do that. This same client tried to drown her 2-year-old sister in the house pool because she was no longer getting all the parents' attention. I know they don't do it on purpose. I know it's our job to make their lives better. But people act like we are not allowed to feel hurt or take things personally. I have scars from being kicked and bitten. One of them sent me to the once. I honestly only lasted 3 years. I now work with an in-home therapy company where I choose my own clients, and I'm also allowed to drop the ones I don't like working with. I'm sorry, but I gotta put myself first. File a workers' comp claim for the injury. That will get their attention. If they retaliate, you can go after them. I'm sorry that has happened to you. And sorrier that your company doesn't seem to do the right thing. I'm currently head of HR in healthcare for the last 3 years. In the disability world for 6 years prior. At the most basic level, employers have a duty under OSHA to provide a safe workplace. Third-party interactions count. There should be ways to manage this up too, and including termination of services to that client. If they don't take it seriously, you might consider reporting it to OSHA. Report him to the police. He needs to learn that actions have consequences, otherwise he might kill someone. I'm really sorry you experienced this. It's a very poor practice in many care-type roles where staff are just expected to deal with assault. I remember a friend of mine became a carer and had to deal with old men grabbing her ass or making sexual comments. But it was completely brushed off. When companies allow these things to happen, it emboldens abusers to use their disability to assault others. It's not common that people are so mentally unwell that they have no control or awareness of what they're doing. And in those who are high risk, measures should be taken to ensure safety. Personally, I would take this seriously and report it rather than brushing it off. It needs to be taken seriously. No one should be assaulted in their job. Defend yourself to the maximum extent allowed by your local laws. Then call for police, ambulance or coroner, as needed. Man, I am glad I don't work with people like this, because I would backhanded that old-timer back to the 40s. Call the police and press charges. Sorry this happened, but it is inevitable in the industry. It happens to everyone at some point.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.